Hi, my name is Monica Bayetti, and I'm very excited to be working on this task force and helping people with their careers. I think that this is an extremely noble cause. So I've set up something that I wanted to try to see if this was interesting for anyone. I work in the analytics field, and I've been doing data analysis since 1997. So that is a long time to be doing analytics. I'm actually part of one of those careers that didn't even exist when I was actually starting out in data. From there, I went into the military and I worked as a political military analyst. And then when I got out, I have continued on with analytics. I have a master's in education, and so I have also taught, and I'm in the process of starting my professor apprenticeship. And so I'm really excited about that. And I'm in class currently to get my PhD in philosophy under education. So again, I'm just very excited to be able to show our sorority just some methods that have worked for me. And I'm also very excited to get any feedback and to interact with anyone. So please feel free to reach out. So I kind of got everything set up before I started recording to try to show you what I've done. And I am not a one type of job person. I have definitely been successful in switching jobs. I may not always get the salary that I want, but I do think that you have to recognize some of that when you're switching careers or jobs. Some of us might be hoping to make more. Some of us are looking to just switch jobs because we're not happy anymore. So maybe not getting the most money we made would be okay. So it just depends on the individual, right? Okay, so I wanted to start off with something that I have that has worked for me in the past is where you go and read about what you want to do, right? So for analytics, I pulled this career or this article up that says, career paths for business analysts. And I would recommend this for anyone out there. Just what field are you trying to be in? And then try to find some current topics. See, this was written May 30th of 2019. So it's really not that old. I would say that that's still pretty relevant. And here it's going to just tell you some basic stuff, right? So where you can go as a business analyst, what career paths there are for you. And so I would say that I'm probably a little bit of a fusion part right now. I would say that I'm more of like a management quantitative analyst. You could be like a catch-all analyst. But there definitely are jobs, right? And as you can see here, 122,000, 98,000. I mean, this is a really good career field. I would say that with coronavirus going on right now, and this being written in May 2019, I'm not really sure that these salaries are going to be entirely accurate. Like, for example, the company I work at right now, they have frozen promotions and salary raises. So I think that right now, looking for a salary expectation, you definitely want to get paid what you're worth, but probably just getting in the door right now is beneficial, So maybe taking a little bit lower than what you're looking for uh, might be advisable. So after you've read about the career field that you're trying to jump into, I think from here, what I would recommend is to probably go to like Indeed, or I'm sure that a lot of people use LinkedIn, but I'm going to start with Indeed. This is what I have used. At any time I have taken a job, I have used Indeed. LinkedIn became a little bit more popular within, I don't know, let's just say the last 5 years, but I have switched 3 jobs during the last 5, 10 years or something with LinkedIn, and I have still used Indeed and have been extremely successful. So sometimes they say you can only use one system, but I think you have to use what you're comfortable with. And for me, that's Indeed. And I have also started to use LinkedIn, so I'm going to go over that as well. So as you'll see from my recent searches, again, I look for analyst work, and I'm obviously looking from home. Like that would be, for me, that's ideal. I'm not sure if others like to work from home. And so you'll just see some of the searches that I've gone through. And then right here, it'll even give you some suggested searches. And again, I feel like these are good ways to start out. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on business analyst, and let's see what's out there. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit more open. So I'm going to go ahead and select the city I'm currently living in. See, I feel like that's pretty low right there. $15 an hour. That's a little, it's nothing like what we were seeing. Okay, let's click on this one. See, urgently hiring. Urgently hiring. All right, let's see what these have to say. Okay, so right there, they're urgently hiring, and it's a contract job. So this is what you must have required. I probably have this one. I don't have this. I don't even really know what that is. So I'm not interested. Let's just see if we can figure this out a little bit more. So this must be the software that they're using. Okay, so then let's go plug that in. Huh. Interesting. So I'm not really familiar with the software. So right there, I would have to address that in my cover letter because that's obviously something that they're looking for. I would go ahead and pass on looking at this one much more because again, I don't have this eClinical Works and I'm not really sure what that software is. So for those that maybe are in healthcare that think that they could have maybe done something with that, you would just need to see if you understand the software and could use it. And if you're able to figure the software out, you could of course address that in your cover letter. I am prior experience with Salesforce, so I'm always interested in what these jobs have. So right here, Masters Preferred, I've got that. I'm not really sure what this VMware 1 year is, and I know what Linux is. So I would go ahead and continue to follow this through. Job description, is normally, this is telling you what the job is. And then the required skills is always what I jump to first, because the required skills, if you don't have those, then you're going to have to address that in your cover letter. And so experience using Salesforce and CRM, I've got that. Hands-on experience using Salesforce, I've got this. Configuring Salesforce, I also have that. Proven ability leveraging analytical and problem solving skills, I have that. So right here, this is actually a pretty good contender for me. So let's go ahead and address what they're looking for. So here, I'm going to look up what VMware is. Okay, so based off this description, these people are looking to implement Salesforce because look, you'd be an admin and then they would like you to analyze what you're setting up for them. Okay, so here they are looking to put Salesforce into this. I realize that maybe doesn't make the most sense, but they're looking to take Salesforce out of the box and implement the Salesforce system on these other software computing systems. And so they want you to connect all of that together. So let's take this job and let's work through how I would apply for this. Okay, so let me bring up my resume. Okay, and I've just blacked out your traditional like address, phone numbers, emails. I mean, so that would be obviously what I have here. My resume might be look a little bit different from what maybe you've received guidance on how to do your resume. I believe that this one sets it up the best for what my work history shows, and I'll explain that to you. So the summary gives you my first four hard-hitting bullet points as to what I think makes me a good employee. And so I tell them that I've demonstrated ability to work and lead under pressure, that I have a proven ability to take initiative and complete tasks, and I have an impeccable ability to address large groups in a clear and concise manner. And then prior to this, I'm a U.S. Air Force veteran, and I used to hold a TS/SCI clearance, which is pretty high up there. But it's inactive, so that matters also because it costs like $250,000 to maintain this. I think that one of my best skills is my ability to lead. And so I talk about that a little bit. Why do I consider myself a leader? And then I give 3 bullet points to support my summary. So I've demonstrated that I've been able to effectively communicate by doing what? Relaying data to senior leadership and showing a trend, okay? And so then I go down to my analyst experience, right? That's where the bulk of my job history has been in. So so here we go of protocol, the U.S. Air Force, DIA, HOLT-CAT, and UniFirst. And so over this time, I provide a summary of what analytics I have done. And then again, I follow up with some bullet points over the years from working here. These were my most successful accomplishments, I guess. And then I worked in human resources for a little bit. So I have human resource experience listed here. And then I taught to get the master's in education. And so here you're going to see just a brief summary here. And then it's followed by my education and then my organizations. And again, I would encourage everyone to have a long resume because if, for example, if I was applying for a teacher, I would just move this. I would just move this I would move this up to right underneath my leadership experience so that they could see this first. And then I would follow through with the rest of my work history. So it just depends on what job you're going for. People don't like gaps in employment for very long. It's probably been long enough now that I could remove the human resource. But when I was applying for jobs, I definitely left this in here during this time frame, 2013 to 2016, because if I didn't have that, it just looked like I wasn't working, and that doesn't always go over well. If you are someone who's coming back from being out of work for a while, I mean, you can say things like stay-at-home parent, and you can list what you did, ran the budget, made sure people stayed on task, like your kids. I mean, there's definitely ways to frame those gaps in your employment, and definitely reach out if you need help with that. So I would say that from this job that we're looking at, primarily my job history is going to involve analytical experience because that's what they're hiring for. And specifically what they're going to be looking for is my Salesforce experience. And so which unfortunately, oh, right here. So successfully set up and launched Yard Club and Salesforce for HOLT-CAT and trained 50 employees to use the programs. Now, I would definitely be wanting to write that out a lot more, since this job is specifically looking for someone that's working with Salesforce. So if we were to do that, let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video so that I can work on this for a little bit, and then when I come back, I'm going to pick back up with this. Okay, what you will see that I did here is I took the required skills that they were looking for on the Indeed job posting, and I placed them here. And this would be this is from my resume. And so what I do is I just make sure that I've got the required skills covered. Experience using Salesforce. I successfully implemented Salesforce for this company, and I trained 50 employees to use the program. Hands-on experience configuring Salesforce. Successfully implemented Salesforce. Now, I would come back to this and I would address this in my cover letter, and specifically addressing the Linux and the VRM software that they're using. So we're going to get to that. Proven ability leveraging analytical and problem-solving skills in fast-paced environments. So again, if we go back to my resume, my final one, I believe that we've got that covered right here. Okay, and again, right up here, we've got that. So that's wonderful, right? It looks like I would be a contender for this job. So let's go ahead and go back to the next skill. Detail-oriented, individual with the ability to quickly ramp up. And again, if we go back to that resume, I think that we've definitely got these skills covered. Strong presentation, good. Ability to juggle and prioritize multiple tasks. Again, I think we've got this covered. Demonstrates flexibility and willingness to do what it takes. Again, drive and desire to learn and grow. So if you've got something like this, where you're like, yes, check, that's perfect. I mean, you definitely want to be applying for that job then. So now it's the cover letter, okay? So we're gonna say that we changed, what did we do here? We changed this sentence right here, and we took out Yard Club, and we focused mainly on Salesforce. And to use the program, okay? And even then, like, you can make this super easy for, I mean, this is exactly what they're looking for. So I would even do this. You know, you want this to pop out to them that you've got what it takes. And so I don't know that in the summary you would necessarily need to do that, because this is what they're reading. This, I mean, that right there is what's getting their attention. So if you've got an attention grabber, I would say that you don't need to do anything with bolding or underline. But if you are looking for it to just jump out at them in your resume, I would for sure go ahead and do that. That definitely lets them know that you're there. Okay, so now I'll show you what I have as a generic cover letter and what I have on my LinkedIn profile. Let me get that pulled up for you guys and I'll be right back. Okay, looking at my LinkedIn profile, my cover letter, let's see. Here we go. So it's good to have a general cover letter that you can send off to people that covers, you know, your skill set. But since it does look like I am fairly closely aligned for this Salesforce analyst position, this is where you can take your general cover letter that you've already written that sounds good, and then you can just beef it up with some of these other traits that they're looking for. So the qualifications are right here. So again, I would just make these available to me. And I would just go ahead and get this copied right here. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and get our Word document pulled back up. And since we've fixed what we wanted on the resume, we'll just go ahead and move this over to work on the cover letter. Okay. Okay, so my experience in education and training correlates for an analyst position, obviously. Using data to help drive a business is critical, and the feedback I have provided in the past has helped companies such as Holtcat and Universe improve their productivity with employees. So I'm not really sure that this is what they're looking for right here. So what I would say, um, let me go ahead and do another pause and let me work on the cover letter a little bit, and then I'll come back and I'll explain to you what exactly I put in there and why. Okay, so with my final version of my cover letter, I think that what I have changed is I've added a paragraph to address what they're looking for. So, dear hiring manager, my experience in education and training correlates for the specific position that they're advertising. I have a master's in education and I'm familiar with the Linux operating system. While I have not directly used VMware, I know that it is cloud computing software, and the company is likely looking for an analyst to build Salesforce and implement it. In 2016, I successfully launched Salesforce for Holtcat and trained 50 employees. So, and then I leave my other 3 paragraphs because these are pretty solid. And so what I'm looking for is I've added their requirements, but I still have a very nice cover letter to send to them. And so I would just go ahead and save this in my documents, and I would say that this was my cover letter. So I would say CL Salesforce Admin Business Analyst. Okay, and then I would save it because you're not going to use the same cover letter over and over again. You're going to tailor it each time and maybe just keep things that worked for the other cover letters. If I were to summarize the end of this is that I really think that you can't get discouraged. You have to keep applying and you have to keep trying. I can show you hundreds of jobs that I have applied to over the years. And once you start getting callbacks, then that's how you know that your cover letter is getting better, that your resume is hitting things that that field is looking for. And it takes time. I mean, there's no perfect solution. And I think that sometimes when we're looking for jobs, these are things that we're wanting, right? We've worked hard and we want to see the payoff. And so I just would encourage you to keep applying. Definitely write cover letters that does make you stand apart. And then and just get out there and keep going. Networking is huge. It's hard to network right now with coronavirus, but there are virtual meetups happening, and attend some of those. And we are definitely here to help you in any way that is needed. So please reach out, and I hope that this was beneficial for you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.